Way! Look what TAT we got for you tonight.
Yes, speaking of.
Oh, look how majestic that looks on the camera.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, and Big Potato, here is the Nintendo 64. Eddie has brought this with us. I'm Sol. Hello.
I'm Eddie. Hello.
And this is the TAT, although I've got to say this is far from tatty tonight, although the box might have seen somewhere.
Yeah.
This, as soon as he brought this out, hit me strong, because while I knew he had an N64 and he's a big fan of Nintendo, I didn't realise he had the same limited edition gold controller N64 that I also possess. I want to quickly just say that I did get an N64. I moved quickly on to PlayStation. I got this edition with the golden controller, GoldenEye, Doom 64, and Diddy Kong Racing.
Yep.
I never got a single other game for the N64. I never played anything else on it, and I played it very briefly in my life because I was dedicated to PlayStation and getting those games from Game and Electronic Boutique and blah blah blah. So to see this is absolutely amazing. He's brought the controllers, he's brought the console. It's all here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the TAT. So Eddie, tell us your history with this console.
Right, so I think my dad got this, about 97, 98. Well, I was 7 or 8 years old. We'd had a Super Nintendo before then, had all the classics on that, and this was the edition. This absolutely changed my life. This is the exact console we've had all that time. Mm-hmm. I've since collected quite a few more. I've got a load of different coloured controllers at home, load of different colour consoles. I'm a bit of a collector of old Nintendo games primarily, and I've got about 20 odd games here. Every so often I troll eBay.
Future episode of the TAT. Stay tuned. We're gonna check those games out.
My first memory of this actually is my dad buying it with Doom 64, and I was going to the cinema with my cousin that day. I remember, and as soon as he turned it on, and I did not want to go to the cinema anymore. I just wanted to watch him play, and it was Doom was a brilliant game, and it's since that this. I think this for me has got most of my favourite sort of video game memories on. Right. So you've got, as you can see, the cartridge in there, the beautiful Majora's Mask. For those who have talked to me for more than 5 seconds, now I'm a big Zelda fan. I've got a Majora's Mask tattoo. A big fan of anything. So this and Ocarina of Time.
He would show you that, but it's in an inappropriate place.
There you go. There you go. Maybe for subscribe to my OnlyFans, you can see it.
There's a reason why there's a moon in that game. You know what I mean?
But so this Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, absolute classics, widely regarded as some of the best games ever made. And Mario 64, which is the first 3D game ever played. This was the first console to have a joystick as well.
Yes, that's true. It should show off these amazing controllers which always used to confuse me because I wanted to hold them like this.
Yep.
Now, if you could see, a PlayStation controller you would hold like this.
You would.
But an N64 you were meant to hold like this. Or like this, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Like you're meant to hold the middle one.
It was really peculiar. I think I'm not found a single game that utilised the D-pad in this. It was all
exactly.
The
so so if the problem is if you're left-handed, did that make this more difficult?
I would imagine so. It's not an easy controller to handle anyway, especially if you're using the trigger buttons.
Because you see the trigger at the back, which is probably the best trigger.
Yeah.
I've ever seen on a console.
It was really handy. It was
like L1 and R2 are the simple trigger bumper bars, but I mean this has got some trigger effect.
It was good, especially for Zelda, and I think you would just target with that, and it was really nice.
I think unusual. I personally think that I haven't held a PS5 controller, but the PS4 trigger was like the L2 and R2. Were pretty damn good.
I think my favourite controller probably is I like the GameCube controller because it's just so quirky. But the PS4 I think one of my complaints when I played the PS2 was that the controller was a bit too big. I think it was just a bit clunky.
I don't like Xbox.
It might be small. I don't know. And then Xbox was absolute
fucking like a brick. I felt.
But the PS4 I thought was a really easy to use. Everything was reachable.
In the back there, you can see this controller here, translucent in origin, and in the back there is a little slot. I believe.
Yeah, there is.
Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
And it's just got the additional rumble pack.
It is.
There you go. So that gave it a vibration.
Yeah, there was also something in here as well, which I think is in this console. It's called an expansion pack.
Oh, hello! Look at that! Whee! Oh, move around it. There we go.
There you go. So you can't get it out. It's very old. It's stuck in there now. It's just probably for the best.
It's solidified.
It's solidified. But essentially, what that was, that just increased the capacity and the power of the console. So there are a few games that come out a bit later, Zelda Majora's Mask included, that required a bit more power. So you had to buy the expansion pack separately. And I remember a story when I got Majora's Mask for Christmas, and I was elate. I had a guidebook, which I've still got here. It's not the original, so I have to buy a new one because my one I used it so much it disintegrated.
We can show the book. We can show the book. Absolutely. Let's have a look at this. No, you can. Well, just throw it on camera. Just show what they're talking about there.
Guidebook. There you go. It's not the original, but the original was absolutely in bits because I used it religiously. As a result, I know that game like the back of my hand. And you can tell me a little bit about wherever you are, and I can be able to tell you where to go. But yeah, so I got Majora's Mask for Christmas, and I was elated, and I plugged it in, only to be hit with a warning that said you need an expansion pack to play this game. I threw a temper tantrum, as you would as a child, and then I thought, that's fine, we'll get an expansion pack, and we didn't get an expansion pack until February. So I just read, I was so excited for the game, I just read the guidebook for a long time.
Eddie, mate,
beforehand.
I loved it because I had the exact same thing for my birthday 2000, so December. I got SmackDown Just Bring It for the PlayStation 2. I did not own a PS2. And so I didn't get a PS2 until Easter 2001.
Wow. Okay.
So it was almost 3 months later, just over, and I finally got one. In those 3 months, I used to lay on my bunk bed reading the manual. And when I played it, it was the worst wrestling game
really
I had played. And I went back and played SmackDown 2 again.
SmackDown 2 was a very good game.
After all that hype and waiting, and I tried so much to love it.
That's heartbreaking.
I had so much dreams and ambitions to what I wanted to do with the game and how to play it. And
I used to do it too. That was the thing. You get the box, and I'll just show you like a example box.
Yes.
I've got quite a few, again, bit of a collector. Come in the box, you'd open the box and then there'd be loads of stuff in there, it's not, you got the game, bam, and you've got the instruction manuals and things, and these were just, you can see they're for Mortal Kombat. They were just brilliant because
the PC boxes. You used to get massive boxes. The PC games are over there, and they're like fucking giant boxes.
That's it.
Because they'd be filled with a load of manuals, instructions,
information,
cool stuff.
The buttons and stuff. You have sort of the modes explored. You had the lore and stuff in some of them as well. It's really handy. You got weapon guides to all the warriors and stuff in this game.
Awesome.
And it's quite a visual thing, especially if there were 5 kids in our household and my dad, all of whom liked playing the game, so we'd have to limit the amount of time we could play each. So if there's a game, for example Doom or Mario, I'd be playing it, my brother would want to play it, so he would sort of have a look at the manual, we'd chat about it. It was a big part of childhood, I have very fond memories of this console in general. I still play it now. You're still occasionally, before COVID, I'd have people around every so often to play. Mario Party or Mario Kart or something.
We played Mario Kart. We played a lot of GoldenEye as well.
We did, we did.
Absolutely.
And there's just fantastic memories. I'm very fond of them. So as a result, it is my favourite console all these years later. 4
controller ports, very key.
Yep.
Very, very good ports, I've got to be honest with you. I know it sounds weird, but they're very unique and really fit in with the... now, I don't want to be, as an outsider on Nintendo, they define their products as toys.
Yeah, they do.
Right?
They appeal for a younger
audience, and I feel like they reflect that in very simple touches. And this sort of like plasticky toy-like finish to the ports is very unique, actually, and is irrelevant to what they would consider branding of the thing. I just think it actually makes the console pop and look great.
It's quite visual.
It's black, so they're trying to kind of, they could have done something funky with it, but they knew that like keeping costs down. It's easy to manufacture just a playing console and then just kind of furnish it really well. And I think that's fantastic.
You can sort of tell if you look at, they had load of sort of you get a controller of every single colour. I've got 6 or 7 different colour controllers, different colour console and different. So yeah, they do very much look. If you look at them from an outside perspective, they do look like toys, you know. Or if you can imagine, if you in a video like a TV program. They would be like a car.
If you went to the kid's bedroom and this was sitting on the floor next to the TV, it sort of works. If you go in there and there's the beast of a PlayStation 5,
there you go,
or a high-tech PC with monitors, you're like, not quite a kid's. You know what I mean? It doesn't quite work. So they branded it really well. So this console still works.
Still works. Yeah, I tried it earlier on today. It's one of those. You know, they always say never blow into the cartridge slot.
Oh, right.
Everyone who's a 90s child will know that's a lie.
Yes, you have to do it. Yeah,
you have to
Sega
blow
Mega Drive.
There you go. You blow into the game cartridge and into the port, and it works every time.
The reason why I say that is because when you blow, you actually blow spittle.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you're actually blowing droplets of water into it by doing so.
So it's not COVID friendly by any means.
But I did it for Game Boy as well, so I know this. And they worked.
And it always
worked.
Time, you know?
So yeah.
But yeah, I tried it this morning. First time it turned on. It's brilliant. It's really nice.
The amount of times I've had, like, when I was a kid, and it was like, oh, it's not working. What's going on with it? Oh, I don't know. Have you blown on it?
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Everyone did it.
So no, it's not what you should.
Yeah.
Give it a blow.
I was sitting there, my sister and brother playing. Oh, I can't play this. Let me just. I'll have a look at it.
Yeah.
There you go, fixed. Oh, thank you so much. You're welcome.
I love that. Not even let me blow on it. So let me have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's have a look at this box because this is great. You've got the original sticker up there.
Yeah. All the furnishings inside the plastic.
The machine. Unsurpassed 64-bit.
Yeah.
That is very true at the time it came out.
Very true. Yeah. Maybe less so now.
Nintendo 64. When they get to their 64th console.
Yeah.
What are they going to call it?
That was the joke about Doom as well, wasn't it? Doom 64.
Yeah.
I know they had a few Dooms, but they didn't have that many out.
It's really odd that they actually added 64 to a lot of their title names.
I think it was a power thing, wasn't it? I think at the time they just wanted to show we were the first one with this amount, and obviously look back, and that is 64. I think it's 64 bits, isn't it?
Yeah,
which was a big deal at the time.
Yeah. Very much so.
And yeah, look, they've listed everything that the console does, and in fairness,
3D graphics.
But when this came out, it was revolutionary. It was going from playing just the side scrolling in Mario to the fully 3D huge world into everything you jump through, paintings and stuff. It was completely different world, to be honest.
CD quality sound, which is an interesting notion because well, the reason for that is because obviously they couldn't. So Nintendo and PlayStation fell out. We mentioned it previously on another episode, and Sony went off to make their own branded console. Now, the patent for using CDs, as far as I'm aware, belongs solely to them for a very long time. Did you know, even to this day, that Blu-rays, Sony owns the Blu-ray disc?
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So when Blu-rays first came out, Xbox had their own HD DVD.
They did, yeah.
They didn't sell. Only the Blu-rays were sent. So what Xbox did was they nixed the HD and they actually adopted a Blu-ray drive. So every Xbox that's sold, Sony gets money for it.
Actually, I remember a headline about that, and it was like Battle of VHS and Betamax, like part 2. HD DVD or a Blu-ray. And obviously, there's only one that you hear about anymore.
It's just crazy that exists. Like Xbox has to pay Sony to license their Blu-ray drive.
But I think maybe as an addition to that, I think when the GameCube come out and that used tiny little mini discs. I'm sure that was maybe related to that because they couldn't. Maybe because Sony owned the patent, I'm not too sure.
So they're selling the quality of the CD based on the fact that their rival has CDs themselves. Awesome running speed, which is a bit of a boast which can't be really substantiated with the everyday user.
If you look at it now, and you're looking back, because I played this quite recently, I ran through Mario 64, and it is super slow, and there's so much sort of slowdown, things pop up, when you get close to them. But at the time, and I think at the time it was the only 3D one. So again, it was the only one. It was whether it was really slow or not, you couldn't really tell the difference.
Right, okay, so the controller, revolutionary 3D controller, I'm sorry, I forgot we lived in 2D before this came out.
Yeah,
What
2D.
the fuck?
Everything was 2D but until this. The day this released, the world become 3D.
Did they know they had prior consoles?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That was still 3D. I mean,
I just love
it was a piece of paper that you pressed buttons on. It was a bot. I don't understand that at all.
I like the fact they've just their marketing team are like, mate, just make us sound fantastic. Use revolutionary, unsurpassed, awesome,
unprecedented, precise motion.
It's like, this is what we do, man. We are not blowing smoke. This is an absolute revelation.
The precise motion, I think they're referring to the analog.
Yeah.
But the problem was that the analog stick didn't really work in the same tradition we know it today, did it?
It's not. No, it's sort of movement. It's not as It's not.
It's kind of a push and stick motion,
Yeah.
whereas it's not like in today's analog world with these controllers. Rather, we would push forward to move forward, and now there's momentum behind our pushes or our actions. With this, it was kind of like you move the reticle, and they hadn't motion camera to movement placement yet.
No, so it's very difficult. If you look at it, obviously the ones we use now, the two is so much more natural. This is very much you have to control everything, and the cameras was typically like the D buttons, the yellow buttons and stuff, which wasn't great. And obviously, if again playing Mario, the turning circles were huge because you obviously haven't got that movement.
Yeah, flexibility. 360-degree game movement, which is surely that varies from game to game. Depends what the game constitutes. Like,
I think they're all 3D worlds. I think because there's
Symphony of the Night.
2D, are they really? No side scrollers or anything.
Oh, Symphony of the Night.
I didn't play that, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay.
No. Maybe just because it's saying it can. Not every game will be.
Mortal Kombat.
Oh, of course, Mortal Kombat. Oh yeah, mostly 3D. Maybe I suppose you can have 3D. It's the possibility is there.
Contents: Nintendo64 controller deck, 3D gold hand controller, power supply, aerial switch box, aerial extension cable, RF cable, N64 RF modulator. This is a PAL version. Hey, we're PAL. We're PAL here in Europe. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's a limited edition. You had one, I had one. Not as limited as I thought.
There you go. Maybe we'll have the only two.
Oh,
what are the chances of that?
So controllers look great. So for this, I've always been curious. This is the A button here. This is the B button here, and you got directionals here, but in the middle is a C.
Yeah, the C buttons.
So you got an A, B, and 4 Cs.
Yeah. And then the D-pad over here.
And then there's the D-pad. There's no D. There's no D. Left and right.
And then the back one, the trigger at the back is the Z button.
It's the Z button. So you're missing a lot of the alphabet. I was just always curious why C was sort of. It's like that's the D-pad. That's not the C-pad.
Yeah, I think it was like a mirror. Maybe. I'm not too sure. I never used this in any game at all. But the C button's always. Inventory thing for Zeldas especially. Yeah, I always got confused with these buttons compared to everything else. They're typically camera buttons as well a lot of the time because obviously to make up for the fact you haven't got two analog sticks, I suppose they can pan the camera left and right sometimes. Yeah, absolutely fantastic to see this again. Let's just lift the console and Precious. Precious little thing. Love the sticker at the front. It's a sticker. Oh no, it's sort of. I think it's on there, just plastic. Furnished on there, yeah. You could also play 8-player. You can get an additional deck for underneath it. Oh, nice. To expand 8 players. We could play Mario Kart and things like that, which is I would imagine will be fantastic. Well, will be chaotic, but will be fantastic. Simple start and reset. Obviously, you got the expansion back here. The slot in here. If I can't lift it out because my hands are too weak. And you got the simple interface. You got the locking mechanism over the top, so it keeps out a lot of the dust. And and then you then blow in all the dust that is kept out. Of course. We could check the back here. What was this massive thing for? That is the power. That's supply. The actual power, is it? Yeah, I've got that. It's in the box actually. And then what's this down here? That's to connect to your TV, your aerial. Yeah. There you go. And then you ventilated at the bottom, which is very strange. That's where you put the additional stuff. There was a CD deck. Peripheral as well for it. You can add some CDs and things to it, but I don't know. I didn't catch on. I just find it odd that the venting is underneath. Yeah, because you wouldn't necessarily have this standing up in any form. It is a noisy console as well, so there may be a design flaw. Yeah, I mean, there's some ventilation on the side, but not as much as they put in at the bottom. Like if this got as bad as the PS4, or even my PC now, you might hear in the background.
Okay. Like, already, this might be smoking and lifting off.
Yeah.
You know, with the vent on the bottom. There is a good grille at the top, though, that I've got to think is absolutely brilliant design. Because that is wasted space. I think it's very well... And they've really designed the console around the vent perfectly. So, look, from that, you don't even see it. Like,
it's quite an iconic shape.
You still don't even see it when I tip it forward. It's only when you see it from behind or above that you see the vent that is masked. I like that a lot. I think that's absolutely perfect design. Let's take a look at take this off the couch next. I want to have a look at the box, if that's okay.
Yeah, cool.
So let's take that off there. Let's see the box in a little bit more detail. It's got classic Nintendo64 with a lot of the characters. And then on the back, here we are. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man.
So big old Mario.
Yeah, might have heard of him. Did it right for himself.
Have you got a fact about that hat?
Yeah, if you didn't see the outtakes yet, the M on Mario's hat actually stands for Mario. It's a very little known fact, so just, you're welcome.
Diddy Kong Racing, there it is. I had that.
That was a hard game to play. I thought I love Mario Kart, and I thought Diddy Kong Racing was harder to control, but I think it was still a very good game. There's a really nice roster of characters as well.
Yeah. Super Mario 64, of course.
Oh, beautiful.
I've only ever played the original Mario.
Really?
Yeah, on the Game Boy. That was it. I never played any other Mario games.
I would love, because it's hard to play on this one now because the controls are very dated, as you imagine. But if they ever did a remake of this, maybe for the Switch, but updated for the Switch graphics and things, I would buy it in a heartbeat. It's an absolutely beautiful game. It's so big as well, 128 stars to collect. That's a huge number.
My issue here is that this is the game here. This here is not the game.
Yeah, it's very different.
But it's the bigger picture next to the main selling point. It's conniving, but this is a pre-rendered animation.
Yeah, it's not even in the game.
It's not in the game at all. It's
the cutscenes in the game are in this fashion. That's just purely for
that looks
marketing.
Like 5 years later on the PS2.
Yeah.
Sort of graphic quality, I would say. Very clean, and then you've got the smaller image, which is actually a little bit more clear as to what it actually will look like. Wave Race 64.
Wave Race is alright, actually, yeah.
Was it really?
Like
is that the equivalent of Cool Borders for the PlayStation?
Pretty similar,
same sort of thing. Doesn't it? Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Now, I've heard a lot about this game.
Yeah, I've only played it briefly, actually. But it was there was a few more that come out a bit later on as well, and there's some Star Wars games are either very good or very bad. That was the very good one. The one after that, I think Rogue Squadron 2. It was the best one. It was a beautiful game. But that was a good game, and it looked surprisingly good considering the capacity of the consoles at the time as well.
Third-person shooter, one of the first to. Well, it wasn't the only one on the N64, but it was definitely out. It felt a bit out of place that it was only on there.
Yeah,
because it was like that was what PlayStation was domineering. That's that kind of action adventure titles.
This was sort of platform games mainly, wasn't it?
Exactly. Then we got Mario Kart 64 in the top left there. We played everything. GoldenEye. You can't beat GoldenEye.
GoldenEye. It's still it holds up to great multiplayer.
They remastered it, or remade it.
They did.
No one cared. No one bought it.
It's an interesting one. They also did a version called, I think, GoldenEye Rogue Agent as well, which I had for the GameCube, and I think it was PlayStation as well. And essentially, you played as a bad guy in GoldenEye, and you play the game from his point of view. I think I'm not entirely sure because I didn't really get into it very much. But yeah, it's one of those games. I think it's seminal. It was brilliant. And then any remake isn't really going to do it justice, So. And
finally, what the fuck is that?
Lilac Wars. So
what the hell is that?
Lilac was a Star Fox and his crew. So the original was Star Fox Adventures. Star Fox Adventures. It was. I've got it here somewhere. It was Star Fox. Was in the original. And he was not a superhero. He was just him and his friends Falco and Toad and that. They were just fighters. Fighting a bad guy called Andros, who was essentially a massive hologram head. Really,
was a massive wanker then?
Well, he was a massive.
He was a massive wanker as well.
We hated Andros, but the original
was. Who hardly hates Andros?
But the original is very much just polygons. So it was the original Super Nintendo was just the ships were a series of triangles stacked on top of each other. One triangle for the wings,
like polygons, right?
One for the fighters, one for and the bullets were all triangles as well. Light Wars is a bit more fleshed out, but it's a very good game. It's like one of the first sort of space games, I think, as well. Really, there weren't loads at the time, and of course, Star Fox and Falco were. If you played Smash Brothers any time recently, that's
sort of where a lot of these old characters live nowadays.
All Diddy Kong, pretty much all the roster of Diddy Kong, Mario, and Light Wars are in the latest Smash Brothers.
But don't they feel like they've gone there to die?
Yeah, it is really weird.
It's like the pasture, really.
Yeah, it's all these. I played Smash Brothers, the most recent one, yesterday actually with some friends, and it is all the well-known characters, and then you've got side characters. You've got I think just people you never even heard of. Oh, that was that guy in that one game.
Is it true that there's someone who's never been in it that's like quite a classic character or something?
There's a few, I think. I'm not entirely sure because I've not played it very much.
It's not Luigi's in it, isn't
Luigi's in it. Wario's in it.
Is it? Yeah, the other one of that.
Well, Luigi, I don't think he's not in it.
He's never been in it, and that's the one I keep hearing about. is that they want him in it? And it's become like a meme or something.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, you look at it, there's some people that he would be one. He's in quite a few games, but they've got a lot of sword fighter people in from games like Fire Emblem.
Oh yes,
Fire Emblem
characters.
Stuff, yeah. Okay, I could do without you being in this.
I love this pitch up here. This is The Machine. Experience a quantum leaping graphics realism with the Nintendo 64 system. Real-time rendering and awesome anti-analyzed graphics. Create a heart-pumping virtual gaming world. Experience more freedom, more adventure, more power, more fun. I love the sales pitch.
Yeah, it's very 90s, isn't it? It is very brash, and this is what we do. It's I suppose in a world before the internet and stuff, you had to see it, you had to hear about it.
Nintendo Hotline. We are open 365 days a year to help with all your gameplay questions. To talk to a games counsellor, call this number. Monday to Friday, Saturday to Sunday. These times vary. Please call to confirm. Or call our 24-hour automated N64 line.
I would be. It's 8:10 now. I'd love to give them a call. And see what they say,
so it might be closed, unfortunately.
You would imagine if someone answered the hello Nintendo hotline. You're the first person to call in the 21st century.
Someone's definitely probably called it, and it's definitely a sex line now. I noticed that these copyrights down here. GoldenEye, obviously designed by Rare.
Yeah.
Aeon Productions owns the rights there at the time.
Actually, can we talk about Rare for a second on this?
Yeah, certainly.
Rare created some of the best games ever, really. And they had a bit of a falling out with Nintendo as well. Yeah. And they went their separate ways later on, I think. But they had obviously.
The company still exists, but not the original developers. They went on to make Ukulele, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, it's not that good.
Oh, that's disappointing. They had one of the best ones is Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie is one of my favourite ever games. It had things like, I think Perfect Dark was Rare as well. I think Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is a game I've never bought because it is ludicrously expensive. It's one of the top 3
it's hard to get, isn't it?
Most expensive games because it would come out very late in the product life cycle and didn't sell too well because it was and I think maybe one of the only N64 games that was aimed at adults as well. So it was. And you often see it in CX for sort of £100+ I think one day I will buy it. And so if anyone well wishes,
don't ain't now.
But they got GoldenEye obviously is masterstroke. Yeah, Perfect Dark, which is absolutely beautiful as well. And it was a big shame when they left because they produced some beautiful games.
Absolutely. I just wanted to see if there was any interesting copyright or trademarks owned by anyone. Obviously got Lucasfilm for the Star Wars franchise, but no, just music. There's one thing I wanted to check on the box, side of the box rather, is here are the other. There are many more, but different colour controllers you can get as well. Yeah. Very nicely done. They talk you through it. I think this is one of the best designed boxes for a game console I've ever seen. If you had a product you had made and you're like, I'm gonna sell this, it's gonna come in a big box, we have to sell this product, and you're passionate about what you do, this is the result of that. There is a lot of love and care has gone into this. Yes, alright, it's competing in a market, so there is some brash talk there, but it's clearly coming from people that really love what they do and what they're selling, and really aim towards the market that's there for them. And it would have been, it's crazy to think nowadays how the passion's gone. I feel
Yeah.
that's where I'm going with that. I feel like the effort's not really there anymore.
That's
It's all online digital when it's playing the game of social media.
So, yeah, it is. Yeah. That's the thing. I know this, and especially the GameCube as well. And one of the big things for Nintendo at the time was that they didn't want us. There was fewer games that coming out that were released by Nintendo, and that's because they refused to sort of. I remember there was a big interview they did once, and they refused to sort of just cut corners because they loved the games they made,
Right.
and they put a load of effort, and they refused to sort of make it quicker. They refused to make more. They just wanted to make what they wanted to make.
Yeah.
And as a result, you see, a lot of the other games on the other consoles were a lot of first person shooters and things, which you didn't really get on these consoles very often, especially to later generations. Definitely more so. And they went mainly for platforms and games that are family friendly and stuff, because that was their image at the time. They weren't, as you said, they were aimed a lot. They sort of marketed mainly as a toy.
One of the
and it was aimed at families more than typical sort of gamers, I'd imagine.
One of the things that has drawn me towards PC is the open inventory, the open invitation rather, to developers and game designers to come and just make a great living.
Yeah,
I feel like these console manufacturers today are so factory driven in the content they produce. Yes, PlayStation is probably making a hell of a killing. They make some fantastic exclusive games. I feel like Xbox rests very much on its laurels quite a bit, and is a sinking ship. And maybe not Microsoft, as a company, but the Xbox brand is just so gone. Like, it's basically on PC more than it is on a console.
It was always felt that weird. They were developed by the same people, and it's sort of always. I think they only got into the games console industry because they wanted to. Really, there were others in there they wanted to compete with, and they wanted to compete with Sony, I would imagine, because Sony again were also into electronics, weren't they? They're obviously a massive electronics company. It always felt a bit weird that everything you got on the Xbox is also on the PC, which is already their established market.
And then they got Xbox Live, which is just if you're on Steam, everyone's on Epic Game Store, GOG, or Steam, and Steam's the legal. And then you've got Xbox Live, which is just sort of doing its thing for those that don't have the money for a high-end PC. But even if they don't have a high-end PC, PC can still develop games that you can play all the time. So it's odd. Nintendo's still doing its thing. It's doing things really well. Nintendo right now is on fire. PlayStation's on fire, and the reason is because the console market, unfortunately, is dying. No one is entering the market. They are creating online-only digital platforms. PlayStation and Nintendo will be the only console manufacturers still in this market, I still think, in 10 years. And I won't be surprised if you don't see another Xbox, or if you do, it'll be the last one. Just because the market's not there for it. Xbox knows better that their systems and established stuff in Microsoft is in Windows is already there in their forefront. They can just adapt Xbox into a Steam-like network and not need to go in that market,
isn't it, really? But I remember when this came out, and I remember the PS or the original PlayStation come out, and obviously the original PlayStation sold a lot more. They're both very successful, but that one sold more. And Nintendo then went down the route of innovation as supposed to compete. They knew for what they wouldn't be able to compete head on. So the GameCube was very quirky. It was very much family friendly. It's very different. You even look at it, everything was different. They didn't focus on online play at all, which was absolutely huge when the PS2 came out. When that was when it kicked off, wasn't it? And they went down innovation. You can see then by the Wii. The Wii was hugely popular, hugely successful.
Yeah, it was odd.
It was just bizarre. It was just the most bizarre. I remember getting it, and the hype around was huge, and playing the motion sensor.
Yeah.
For the first hour, it was amazing, and it obviously got very repetitive. But it's so
same thing for VR for me.
It's just innovation and sort of gimmicks and stuff that they went on.
But the Wii sold so well outside of the market. It was Tales Awards that, and when the Wii U came out, it was one of the worst consoles they've ever had.
It was pretty
because
awful.
They got too cocky because they thought it would have the same momentum, and it didn't.
No.
Then they had to literally switch it up.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is that Nintendo is still strong, but isn't a competitor.
No.
Like, it doesn't sell the units you think it might, despite the fact its brand is massive.
Yeah, it's I always see them as a bit stuck in their ways. You know, they don't adapt to things. They, you know, even I remember reading so many. I used to collect GameCube magazines all the time, and the number one complaint was, why don't they get into online? I think there was only, famously, I mean, I might be slightly incorrect. There's only one big game for the GameCube that was online. It was Phantasy Star Online.
Oh yes,
but
of course.
in order to get it, you couldn't just plug it into a modem. You had to get a lot of specialist equipment to upgrade the GameCube.
It's a Sega game, right?
Yeah, and that's it. And it was, you had to spend, I think it was like £70 extra just to get online for Phantasy Star.
And that ended up heading to Xbox.
There you go. And it wasn't even there long. And it, from, you know, all intents and purposes, they did it very begrudgingly. And they never really, they could have, but I don't know if they did. I think they went their own separate way. And yeah, I think they do rely heavily on, because I can't tell you a Switch game really. I can't name a Switch game that isn't, you know, the originals Mario or Mario Kart, Mario Party, Zelda, Metroid, all these sort of titles they've had since their inception. I can't really think of any sort of third party games off the top of my head. I think they rely very much on their own stuff, which are all, you know, typically all very good games.
Which is good, because it does build a lot of hype around
those
brands and those products. PlayStation does the same, but obviously they're a little bit more adult in their nature. But that also means they get a lot more hits and misses, because they're like Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, what the hell is this? Like, not a lot of people know it. Like Mario, there's been 20 years of nostalgia behind this brand, but for Sony, they leave their brands behind and they move on to new things all the time, and that's great in terms of innovation and originality, but it also doesn't have, the hype has to be reset every time. You announce there's going to be a new Mario game tomorrow,
I'd buy it.
People will go absolutely nuts. New Zelda tomorrow, people will go nuts. Like, that brand is well established, and unfortunately Sony, while they did have the potential to do that with a lot of their earlier franchise and licenses, they lost it all. Square owns Tomb Raider, it's on every console. Konami owns Metal Gear, it's on every console. You know, what happened? You know, they lost it all.
Actually, that now, you imagine if they just had those exclusives, you know, Metal Gear, all the Metal Gear series is exclusive, or Tomb Raider, all these sort of things.
So when they went down a cinematic route, the problem with cinematic stuff is that story, that means it has to rely heavily on story, and that means it has to rely heavily on narrative, and narratives have to conclude. So that means the franchise sort of needs to conclude, or you're going to really ruin this franchise, because you're going to try and squeeze it for everything you've got, and we're going to see it. This doesn't need it, and the good thing about Nintendo is that it's a games console first and foremost. But games don't even necessarily even have to have the best story ever. No, they don't rely on it. They rely on great gameplay and in great game innovation. And yes. So that's fantastic. There it is, the Nintendo 64 limited edition gold controller. Is there anything in this box, by the way?
Another console is in there. And I think the original stuff, all the original plastic packaging and stuff is in there.
Wow.
Keep it in good condition.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Oh, coming at you then.
The gold case, the gold controller isn't in there though, because that's at home. I've got a special storage unit for them all. Oh no, the gold controller is in there.
It's in there. Hey, I'll cut that bit out. So
you go. So another.
You've got the translucent console. You've got the golden controller there. I've got the exact same. I've got all the styrofoam.
Yeah, this is the power pack. You know, the plugs and stuff.
Can we hear a lot of cheers there in the YouTube comments for the power pack, ladies and gentlemen? Look at the power it's packing.
Yeah, look at absolute, just full of power.
War, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, believe that. I think it's just standard.
Stormtrooper.
Yeah, look at that. I don't know who this guy is.
I think that might be my mum.
Oh.
No, isn't that guy from
Mortal Kombat maybe, I don't know. I should know this.
It should have been on one of the games on.
It probably is. It's one. I bet it's there. We'll look down. It'll be right there.
Is it a bounty hunter?
It might be a bounty hunter actually. It may well be from Shadows of the Empire. Given the fact that the other alternatives on this box are Mario, Wave Race, and Diddy Kong, probably that.
Yeah, probably.
I'm just going to put this back in. Also, it's got that old smell as well. You know, all the old games consoles, they all have that smell.
Do they smell of you?
Well, unfortunately for me, no. Just not nice, sir. That's a butcher and putting this back, but it's okay.
Auto jump cut.
Yeah, I've got loads. I've got loads of old games consoles. Always looked after it very well.
So,
Damn.
ladies and gentlemen, there is the N64 limited edition golden controller, and amazing nostalgia. I give it 10. I give it a Nintendo out of 10.
Yes, I would. Well, I can't think of another pun, but yes, I would agree with that sentiment.
Maybe you'd score it 64 out of 64.
Man. That's disappointing. I couldn't think of that. It was right there.
Ew, what you doing, Eddie?
I am just trying to use this wonderful controller to hit that like and that subscribe button, which I think you should too.
Oh, that's very good. Although I don't think it's plugged in.
Not again. Mum! It's not working!
Oh dear. Well, it's golden at the very least. Thank you, people.